Hi everybody and welcome to Coffee with a Googler. Today I'm in Sydney, Australia in a music room in the Google office to chat with Casey Whitelaw, who's an engineering director for Google Maps. So welcome Casey and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us, what is it that you do as an engineering director?
The teams that I work with build Google Maps APIs. So this means basically if you see a Google map that's not inside the Google Maps app, then that's probably served through one of the APIs that we build.
Okay. So there's like lots of geotype data that gets fed into lots of different sources, and that's what you're building?
Yeah, that's right. So the most obvious examples that you'll see on the web, we have the Web Maps API. So you can put a map in your web page.
Okay.
And it's not just a map, of course, it's drawing lines on that map and directions and street view and basically everything, almost everything that's in Google Maps itself, you can put inside your own web pages and use to present your own information.
Okay, cool.
And you can take all of that, the same things that you can do with the Web Maps API, and do that on Android through Android Map View, and also on iOS through the iOS Maps SDK.
Cool. Now, in working all this, you must have some favorites.
I have to say, there's so many APIs, right? I mean, we haven't even mentioned all of them yet. Like I mentioned, Web and Android and iOS. Everything that you get through all of those, and even some more things again, you can get through web services. And so this means that you can use them directly with your own web server or on a client that you need to customize more.
Okay.
So the range is really huge. I think it's something you'll see if you go to the dev site as well.
Right.
Something which often strikes people as being very simple, but is actually, I think, kind of fascinatingly complex, is the Directions API.
Okay.
So on the surface of it, you're just moving, you want to know how long it's going to take you or how you should get from point A to point B.
Right.
And so that seems like a pretty simple API, right? I'm going to give you a source, I'm going to give you a destination. You tell me, how it is that I'm going to go from one to the other.
Right.
But just like in Google Maps, that this gets quite complicated, the things that you can do with this are quite complex too. So something that most people don't realize is that we use live traffic data. Mm-hmm. So that the ETAs that you're getting and the directions that we're giving you aren't the same depending on exactly when it is that you request for. Right? So you can request a specific time of day, for example, and get a travel time that actually reflects that.
I love planning ahead, like when I have to go to the airport tomorrow, I need to know now when I would be leaving and that kind of stuff, so I can actually feed in. Yeah. I'm going to the airport tomorrow at this time, what's the traffic going to be like?
And if you're a developer and you're developing an application for people to get to an airport, you could actually do that, right? You can give them directions if you know when they're going to need to be traveling. You can actually give them directions and travel time together with showing that on a Google map, that's for the time that you know that they have to travel.
Exactly.
And then that's going to be synced, right? So I think that's really cool.
And it's not just driving, right? There's also things like public transport and walking.
Public transport and walking and cycling. So most of what you can do on Google Maps you can do through the API as well. So that's one aspect of kind of it being richer than just like saying from here to there, to multiple modes and using traffic, including predicted traffic, by the way. So if you set for some time in the future, we'll use our models to try and work out the best best estimate of the traffic. You can also do things like multi-waypoint optimization. So you can, if you know that you have to visit many different locations, like maybe
stop for a coffee on the way.
Exactly. It's like like come to Google, have a coffee with me, then head out into the city and so forth. But you're not sure exactly what the best order is in which to do those things. You can actually just send a set of waypoints and say optimize, and then we're going to do the traveling salesman problem for you. Because we're Google and that's the kind of problem we like solving. And we'll do a traveling salesman problem for you and actually optimize your route so that you've got the most efficient path through those.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Right. So that efficient path is like based on traffic conditions and those type of things.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And optimizes for travel time, not just distance, for example. Yeah.
Now, not that long ago, like apps for geo and apps for maps on your phone used to be like a map. And here's A and here's B and here's how you get there, but without all that kind of location intelligence. But now we're just seeing more and more innovation, more and more cool things happening. Like, what cool apps have you seen that have like excited you or inspired you?
In the location space. So I saw one recently, which was a great, kind of cute use of location information, which isn't in itself very sophisticated, but I think it's a great example of, I think the democratization, really, of location information. So the app that I saw is called Platypus Spot.
Platypus spot.
Platypus spot.
Okay.
And so it's pretty Australian focused, so the international readers out there, viewers out there. So platypuses are a relatively rare creature here in Australia, and there's plenty of people who are interested in finding them and then sharing when they do. So it's basically, Instagram for platypuses. And so what you do is, you're out on a bushwalk, or maybe you're even in the city or something, and you're at the Yarra River in Melbourne, and you see a platypus, and you can tag it. You say, "This is where I am. Here's my photo of the platypus," if you're lucky enough to take a photo of one, and that all gets logged. So if you then want to see a platypus, you can see, where have platypuses been sighted, sighted recently, so you can go and find one. But also, it's building this database behind the scenes, which scientists can use for other things as well. So I've heard, I'm no expert in this, that platypuses are related to water quality. So platypus presence is related to water quality in rivers. So I can imagine, you can build up some kind of location intelligence information from these sightings.
So they like clean water. So if you see them, you that's where this. That's cool.
Yeah.
So platypus metadata.
And the thing is, they would never, if you didn't have a map that you could use easily, and if you wind back, kind of 10 years pre-Google Maps, and because the Maps API was, happened really early on in the development of Google Maps too. If you wind back the clock, and there is no easy way to show things on a map on your own site, you have no option for how to do this. So like you can get people to enter an address. Where were you standing when this happened? And so the fact
on a tiny keyboard.
Exactly. Well, I guess those days you probably would have had to carry your computer around with you, or wait till you got back.
I had one of those 10-pound laptops.
Yeah. And so, now you have a map that you can use very easily inside your app, location information from your phone, which is pretty accurate basically everywhere in the world, a camera and some, web service that's collating all of this for you. It's just amazing.
Isn't it incredible, and the amount of intelligence and data that's there, but then how people are turning that into innovation and building really cool apps, like the platypus spot.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing I'm seeing, everyone's seeing a lot at the moment is location-based games.
Yes.
Right? So obviously there's Pokemon Go, which has been a huge hit everywhere. And you can see that building on top of a model of the real world. Right? So there's a lot more that I expect we'll see in the future. We had a play around with this. I'm sure that you know about this in Santa Tracker last year. So we had our own location-based game in there, which was a lot of fun to put together on top of Google Maps. So that was really great. Kind of first test for us about building that.
And that whole concept blew my mind, because to me all of the innovation in gaming was going into power. Better and better GPUs, higher frame rate, higher resolution, and then suddenly out of the blue, some games came out that changed the paradigm completely, and it was getting you off the sofa and going out and running around in the real world, and that's incredible. And
I think it just shows you what you can do when you have access to different kinds of data. You can build different experiences around it than you could otherwise.
Right. Yeah. So good APIs enable innovation.
Yeah, and things, if we go back to the platypus spot example, this is never something, as much as I love platypuses, it's never something that we're going to build in Google Maps, right? Because we'd have to build a platypus tracker, and then we'd probably turn it into a, all things in the world tracker by the time it became something that was in Google Maps. And so it's just not going to happen. And so if we were the only ones building on top of Google Maps, then Platypus Spot wouldn't exist in the form that it is. So it's great to have a platform that other people can build on top of and make it part of their businesses.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that we would think of a platypus spotter even, right? That there's somebody who's really passionate about them, or somebody who's researching about them. Then this having an API allows them to build a tool that they can share.
And we don't need to think about it either. It doesn't need to be important to us for it to exist in the world. I think something so there's a balance there. We see a lot of people solving the same kinds of problems over and over again using maps, right? I mean, to pick a very common online example, if you've got a store, you probably want to point out to people where that store is, right? And so that's something that, yes, we don't need to know about your particular store, in order to make our Maps API, but it's important for us to understand that this is a use case that's important to people, that many people are going to use maps, to build a store finder. And so we should make that something that's really easy to do.
Yep. So if I'm a developer and I want to build a store finder for my store, or I want to build the next platypus spot or whatever it is type spotting app, Where should I get started? What advice would you give me?
So go to the dev site. There's lots of documentation, there's sample code, there's even some complete applications that are on there. You can get started really quickly. I would just say go check it out.
Okay. Download some source code and start hacking.
Yeah, that's it.
Sounds good. And that's developers.google.com/maps, right?
You're the expert.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, thank you so much, Casey. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm going to go check out that Platypus app.
Thank you, Laurence.
Thanks, everybody, for watching Coffee with a Googler. If you've got any questions for me or if you've any questions for Casey, just please leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you. So visit developers.google.com/maps to learn more about all the things you can do to build location intelligence, geo apps, maps apps, and all the great stuff that we've spoken about. To learn more, you can also watch this series called Geocast, where we will walk you through building better maps and building better apps. And if you want to learn more about Coffee with a Googler and see more episodes, take a look at our playlist here.